สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. Today I am remaking one of my most popular videos, satay and peanut sauce. Now satay is a street food. It's everywhere on the streets of Thailand and it's also really popular in Thai restaurants overseas. And today is a new and improved recipe I'm super excited about. I'm doing mu satay. Mu is pork and satay is satay. And I'm choosing pork because it's essentially the only kind of satay you can find in Thailand. However, it'll work really well with chicken or beef, so whatever you want. Let's get started. I'm going to first make the marinade, and the satay marinade is just full of herbs and spices. It's essentially good on anything. Coriander seeds and cumin seeds, which are both toasted. You want to toast them in a dry saute pan just until they start to turn brown a little bit to open up all that aroma, activate all those flavor molecules. So once I've got it very fine, I'm going to add lemongrass and galangal. So I've got lemongrass just finely chopped and galangal as well. Now that my lemongrass and galangal is also quite fine. Turmeric. Now I'm using powdered turmeric, but you can also use the fresh roots if you want. If you've got access to that, it'll be even better. White pepper and some cinnamon and clove, which I find just add a little bit of a warm spice flavor. And then a little added sweetness. I've got some brown sugar. White sugar or palm sugar would work as well. And some salt. And now all the liquid. Coconut milk. Keep things moist. Add some flavor. This is what makes Thai satay so unique. A little bit of vinegar. A little acidity helps sort of brighten up the flavor of the meat. It'll also help just tenderize it just slightly. A little bit of water. Now I'm adding quite a lot of liquid because essentially this is half marinade, half brine. And that's pretty much the marinade. Let's get to the meat. For satay, I like to use pork loin, which works really well on the grill. It's lean, but it's tender. However, when I cut it, there's a little trick that I like to do. See, pork loin always comes with this fat right here. And I want to make sure that that fat gets distributed evenly throughout the skewers so that you don't have one piece with just all the fat, because a little bit of fat in each skewer is actually nice. Now I just pour the marinade all over the pork. The important thing here is that you make sure that there's no two pieces of pork that are sticking together. You want to really get in there and massage it and make sure they're all separated so they all have equal access to this marinade. And notice how much liquid there is in this bowl. That's what I'm going for. I want to make sure there's enough liquid so that as it sits, it penetrates the meat and keep the meat juicy. Oh, by the way, when you're working with turmeric, be really careful. It stains everything and it stains everything forever. It's impossible to get off. If you've got tricks on how to get off turmeric stains off your cutting board and clothing, tell me, because I don't know what that is. So now I'm gonna let that sit overnight, but if you're in a rush, a couple hours, 2 hours, 3 hours is just fine. So we'll be right back. While the pork is marinating, let's make the peanut sauce. You may have heard me say before, but even though peanut sauce is associated with Thai cuisine, the only time we actually eat peanut sauce is with pork satay. So here we go. Some ground peanuts. I'm not using peanut butter because I actually want the gritty texture that's part of the fun of this sauce. So that's just peanuts that I ground up in a food processor. And my little trick, I've also got some ground sesame seeds, so toasted white sesame seeds. It's optional, you can just use all peanuts, but it's just something that I've discovered over the years that works really well. And I'm gonna add a little bit of coconut milk and let this reduce until thick. Now this is a very similar beginning as when I make coconut-based curries, which is starting with reducing coconut milk and then I'm gonna saute my curry paste in it. So once it's reduced by about half, I'm gonna add my curry paste. And I'm using red curry paste today, but The satay sauce will also be delicious if you've got Penang curry paste or Massaman curry paste. And you just get slightly different flavors. Both Penang and Massaman has more of the dry spices like cumin and coriander and cinnamon and things like that. Whew! Spicy. So I don't know if you can see this, but you can see bubbling oil coming out around the edges of the curry paste. That's the coconut oil that's separating. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so when that happens, I'm adding the rest of my coconut milk. And also the peanuts and the sesame seeds. Give that a good stir, get it all mixed up. And then I'm going to add some palm sugar, because this will be sort of a slightly salty and sweet kind of sauce. Just going to add a little bit of fish sauce. And again, you'll have to taste and adjust because every brand of curry paste is not equally salty. And to balance that saltiness and the sweetness and the richness, some acidity. Tamarind juice. You may need more or less depending on the brand. So at this point, I'm going to bring it to a simmer and let it reduce until thick. And keep stirring it so that it doesn't scorch on the bottom. So the consistency is where I want it now, so I'm going to turn that off. And if you notice, there's a thin layer of red oil on top. That is totally fine and it's totally a characteristic of our satay peanut sauce. That's just the coconut oil with the color of the red curry paste infused into it. So I'm going to do a final taste. It does need a little bit of sugar. This will be good on anything. Even if you have this left over, it'd be good as a vegetable dip. Tofu. Oh my god. Tofu with this poured on top. Brilliant. So here's the pork that's been marinating for a few hours. But if you notice, there's less liquid now in the bowl than there was when it first went in. And that's because all the liquid went in the pork, and now the pork is plump and juicy. Skewering. These are just 6 inches long, and that's because in Thailand, the satay skewers are pretty small. As I said, they're snacks. I always make sure that on every skewer there's a fatty piece. So remember the piece where I cut and there's a slice of fat attached to it? I want to make sure on every skewer there's at least one of those. So here we are outside on the balcony grilling. I've got all my skewering done, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush one side of the skewers with the coconut milk. And what this does is it will help moisten the skewers. And you'll see them do this on the street. And because the pork loin is lean and because we are dry heat cooking this, i.e. the grill, the coconut milk will just help slow down moisture loss and keep things nice and moist. Alrighty. And the heat doesn't have to be high for this because it's going to cook so quickly. Just lowest, medium-ish is fine. And I am putting the skewers down, coconut milk side down. So that I can then brush the other side. There are 2 more things in order for us to have a complete street food satay experience. One is toast. Satay is often served with just grilled white toast, and the bread is grilled directly on the grill that the pork is grilled on. So I've got that. And the other one is what we call attat. And attat is basically a quick pickle. And I've got here some cucumber, some shallots, and some spur chilies. You can just do red bell peppers or jalapenos if you want it spicy. And then I've got the pickling liquid. And the pickling liquid is basically vinegar and sugar that's been cooked down and then let it cool all the way before pouring onto it. Because what we're trying to do is making sure that the cucumber and the shallots remain bright and fresh and crunchy, so you don't want to pour hot pickling liquid on it. And so that's why I call it a quick pickle. Our lovely, lovely grilled satay on the plate. And that's just like on the street. Let's see how it tastes. The top of the skewer, I just skewer a piece of cucumber from the pickle. The pork is tender, salty, and the sauce is rich and sweet, so that crunchy, tart pickle just works really well to balance it. And what you do with the toast is you basically just dip it into the sauce as well. So the next time you're going to fire up your grill, remember the satay. This is so easy and it works well on chicken, beef, pork, or even tofu. So when you give it a try, let me know how it goes. Send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. The recipe, as always, is on hattaikitchen.com, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal.